Welcome back, guys, to another rendition of the Insurance Panel, and we have a very special guest. Obviously, you can see him now. He has grown his YouTube channel to thousands and thousands and thousands of subscribers, and quite frankly, I think he has. I'm just going to do this because y'all seem to do doing this. Probably one of the better, educational, final expense, Medicare now too focused YouTube channels when it shows how to. And what I really love about your channel, David Duford, is some of the controversial clickbait things that you put on there. I'm really a big fan.
Clickbait.
Yeah,
what are you talking about? Clickbait.
What did Lincoln Heritage do this time? It's like, come on, you know what you're doing, which is really smart. So welcome to the show, David Duford.
Howdy. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. We were talking a little bit offline about stocks right now. If you're hearing this now, AMC and GameStop are absolutely just like going bonkers. Be safe in the market. I'd rather you take whatever savings you have and put it into leads.
Yeah.
Buy leads and go to work. You can actually make a whole lot more money that way instead of just hoping and praying on something. You're basing it off of you and not off of some internet meme.
Guaranteed return on your money if you buy leads.
Guaranteed,
Ooh.
Nick?
Well, guaranteed
it,
if you decide to buy leads and go work them.
Guaranteed if you buy the leads on a consistently weekly basis.
That's right.
When you watch somebody like Nick, myself, or Dave Duford and apply the things that we're trying to instill in you, it is closer to a guarantee than you'll ever get in the insurance business.
You probably make more money doing that than gambling on the stock market is what it comes down to.
Exactly right. So one thing I have also learned from your YouTube channel, Dave Duford, is you have an ever-growing background of things going on behind you. Because I remember we did a video with you last time, and it was your book, right? You constantly have you're very good at positioning things in the background that people want to look. I know you got your 3 kids, right? There's one of the books. You got a whole bookcase behind you, so it's really good. I like the way that you set up your YouTube.
Thank you.
Stuff. So
appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. Last time, and we're going to put it in the description somewhere, we did a video on his channel. It was Nick, Chris, and I, and David.
Yeah.
And that was a very good video, if I remember right.
That feels like forever ago at this point.
What? It was.
I was like,
wait a minute. Did you guys fire Chris?
We did.
No.
Just kidding.
Yeah. Chris got too busy to keep up with the responsibilities of doing a YouTube channel. So he still drops in and visits every now and then.
Okay.
But
Hi,
he could not. Yeah. he could not regularly keep up with doing it because his life just got too successful, and he didn't have the time anymore.
And to be honest, without the success, even me and you were too busy to do YouTube channel. But we decided we still want to try to figure out how to do it. So
passion project.
Any tips on that, Mr. Duford?
On doing YouTube?
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Consistent content that people find value in. That's the most important thing. Then the other important thing is be heard and then be seen. What I mean by that is, video quality doesn't matter as much as being heard. If you've got a lot of background noise and it's distraction, or you got a crappy mic, from a technical standpoint, people aren't going to listen too long. But I do think that if you've got something to say and you've got some value to give, which most people underestimate the kind of value they can give. I mean, you can do it on a consistent basis. YouTube will favor you and start showing your content more. I mean, that's why I put content out daily, is because my thoughts have always been, if I do one piece of content a day, it's 365 a year times 5 years. That's, north of 1,600, south of 4,000 or 2,000 videos. I'm going to start ranking in a lot of different, keywords, and people are going to fall down the black hole of Dave Duford a lot more thoroughly that way. And so, yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. As you guys know, I mean, I've got this nice camera now. I haven't always had it. It's just been a Logitech, and, but I always had something to say, and I always tried to do it consistently. So that's the big thing, guys. If you can do that. Another piece of advice. You don't have to be, it was really good advice. How did they say it? You don't have to be better. You just have to be different. Okay. Like if you want to be in this game that the rest of us are in on this panel of putting content out there, maybe building an agency, or you don't have to be like better than us. You just have to do something different. You just have to have a different voice, a different perspective. You can talk about the same kind of stuff, but people will have an affinity towards people who are creating the content, and you may just speak in a different way that connects than another one. It may not be better or worse, but you don't have to be you don't have to be the best, I guess is my point. You just have to be different. And I think this whole thing on YouTube is still way untapped. I'm surprised there isn't any more major, creators like you and I doing it. I mean, it's been the number one thing in my business that's grown it. It's been crazy. Nobody else has done it.
It's a huge thing. And
you've been doing
I agree.
it for a couple of years. Yeah.
2014.
Yeah. I agree. I don't understand why more people don't do it. I guess there is the time commitment. I mean, I know that's the thing that Matt and I run into is it is a little bit of a learning curve. There's a little bit of time commitment that you got to put into it. But it's, I don't know, it seems to be very valuable in a whole bunch of ways and unexpected ways. You
guys talk to people where they're like, man, I've watched your videos for months or years. They know you. It's like you're a celebrity. You're like, dude, I'm just some dude, in my living room. That's what I feel, at least.
Yeah. But
you don't have to sell them on you because they've already sold themselves on you with all the content, which that's a game changer for you recruiters out there. And, of course I can say that because nobody will actually do it. People are lazy. So.
Right. No, at the end of the day, that's
what I found a long time ago on Facebook. And I want to talk about that too with you, Dave, but 99% of people, if I give out all of the stuff that we know how to do, 99% of people won't do it. Right. But they will pay to listen to the same thing. They'll pay for it.
Yeah.
They won't even really hear it even.
Correct.
Like we'll say, hey, this is the formula. This is what you need to do. And then we'll get emails saying, hey, how do you do this thing?
Yeah. Watch this. Nick showed his exact how he gets on the phone and sets an appointment, which is amazing. Right. So now all of you have to go back through all of our YouTube videos and find it. It is a 20-second clip, and it is probably the best thing that you'll ever hear. But most of you won't take the time to go do it, even though it's that worth it for your business. Yeah, right. Seriously. Now, Dave also has a ton of stuff on setting appointments on his. He has a couple videos on it, and it's really good. But what I'm saying is, you could do all this stuff, and people won't even pay attention. But when you go out, they'll be like, "Hey, I've watched all your videos. I study all your stuff." You're like, "That's awesome, man! Like, that's amazing." But they don't. A lot of people, they don't. I try to unclick their mind, like turn the one key in their. You know what I mean? Just get it to unlock. And if people would just go to work.
Complexity appeals to stupid people. They want to be told there's some elaborate system that only a few people know about. Like that appeals to the vast majority of people. I mean, I give 95% of my content that I tell my agents away. Like my training is there's nothing different between my content and what's in there. But yeah, I mean, just some people just have a propensity to think that that's the solution, but I think information's a commodity, I do some info product sales and stuff, but and I can say this, but people still buy my stuff. You can just watch enough of my content and you'll get it for free. But some people want it packaged, I guess, and organized. And there is reasons, I guess, why to purchase packaged stuff. But it is kind of funny, and a lot of people never even take action on the stuff either. They'll see it and,
Well, you said, posting a lot of content and, people will find like quantity versus quality. I think Gary Vaynerchuk said this. He's like, quality is just subjective. What people find valuable is entirely up to what they're seeing. If they don't find one of your videos valuable, then they won't watch that video. But the next one that they watch could be the best thing that they've ever heard their entire life. But if you don't put out the content on a consistent basis, they can't judge you on it. They can't.
Gary's correct. And the other thing too, he says is with quantity comes quality.
Correct.
The more reps you get under the bar doing this kind of stuff, guess what happens? You get better. I mean, you're kind of conditioning yourself to be a content creator when you put out hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pieces of content a year. versus the guy who has to get everything perfect, has to get everything just so to make one piece of content that takes weeks to do. Well, I'm way ahead of him. I had 20 reps under the bar, man. I'm well more conditioned, you know, and that's a lot of people have to let go of the whole production value, you know, just get in front of a camera, give value, and rinse and repeat. It's not that complicated.
And eventually, I don't know if you have this, like we hired Ryan to be our editor. It's super cheap, but the quality is like significantly better, at least from the editing standpoint. Like Nick was our editor before Ryan, and Nick, I love you to death. Just
terrible.
It was terrible. But like one video, and it like we saw our YouTube like just kind of go like that, like very quickly. And I've also noticed on YouTube that the more subscriptions you have, it's kind of creates this small snowball effect.
Right.
We went from like 300 to like 800 very quickly, and then we just shot past 1,000. Now we're at like 1150 or whatever it is at the time of the shoot.
I think, and when I started in the YouTube thing, like it took me a year and a half of just putting out, and I went cold for, you know, half of the year at certain intervals. But when I started consistently putting content out, there's like a hockey stick effect. And it for me, it happened 3 years after consistently producing, like around 2017. I noticed a huge jump just all of a sudden, like in the beginning of January. I got this next level of views and watches, et cetera. And then it stepped up to the next level in 18 and 19. It's really strange. Like there's not, and it's not algorithmic. Like if you just do this many videos, you know, you're going to get this much. Like you have to commit long-term, and then something happens at YouTube and there's some switch that they say, okay, we're going to start showing your stuff as suggested videos and preferred content. Because we can tell you're a committed producer that values the work. Mm-hmm. And, but it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time, you know?
Yep. So Nick, he's talking to me and you. We got to stay committed.
Yeah.
For at least another, like we're doing this 2 years. We got to be like another
one more year.
3 or 4, and then we'll be okay.
Y'all,
one more year of more than once a month uploads.
Y'all got great content. You just need to do more of it. I mean, what are you doing? Like once a week?
We're trying to do once a week.
We try to do once a week. Okay. It ends up being more like once every 3 weeks. You know, we're trying to do once a week. Yeah,
y'all got great, and you got a great format too. I mean, it's like I said, it's different than what else is out there, and it appeals to a lot of people. But I mean, to me, that's what I would tell you guys. And I know you're not asked for any advice, but you do great at it. Do more. You know?
Yeah. No, I mean, and that's always, that is our goal is, you know, and we run into the same problem that probably anybody who's looking to get started into this does is, you know, there's 1,000 different things that could potentially make you money like today.
Yeah.
You know, and then there's this, which is maybe going to make you some money someday.
And are you monetizing? Y'all monetizing?
No, actually, we are not. But here's why. I actually figured this out, Nick, so you know.
Okay.
We have enough subscribers, but we do not have enough watch time.
Really?
Yeah. I'm going to look it up on this. I'm going to look it up while we're
you need like 4,000 watch time hours. Yeah.
Yeah. You gotta be close. Our videos are too long.
We're like there on the thing. I'm going to look it up now that we're talking. Yeah, it's like really close. So you got
to be close. Y'all have long format. You're kind of a long format.
We have long format. Our metrics are, and it's really funny. If we do monetize, we're like perfect. Because I think it's like 10 minutes you have to go over. Our average watch time is 10 minutes and 3 seconds.
That's awesome, dude. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So it's good stuff, but it's it's weird. Our algorithm stuff gets all kinds of screwy. But we did. So getting back to being different, you know, one of the things that we did when we sat down to first start doing this show is we specifically said, hey, listen, you know, if we're going to do this, we don't want to do what like Dave Duford's already doing. We don't want to do, you know, what all these other people are doing. And that means we're not going to be talking about how to give the perfect presentation. We're not going to be talking about this and this and this. We have to find a new way to approach it. And I mean, people seem to like what we're doing. I think it was working, but the same thing is going to be true for anybody who's watching this that wants to get into doing something on YouTube, that wants to even start making YouTube videos for potential prospects. I don't know that that's a great idea for final expense, but there's other forms of insurance that, you know, making content videos for potential clients is something that is working for other people. You know, and it's just a matter of, you know, getting out and putting stuff out there.
Well, I'll say this, and I was talking to my marketing assistant who helps me like generate a lot of Facebook leads because I'm making like thousands a week at this point. She was like, "What about TikTok?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm not hiring a 19-year-old to talk about like." She was like, "No, I'm
Right.
serious. Like a lot of people, like seniors that are at home, are sitting on TikTok and watching. And if you're the first person on there that is like giving true advice about what to do, you might end up getting it." There's this guy on a Facebook group that we're on, Nick, that really might not be the best financial advisor when it comes out to this stuff, but he's number 3 ranked on like financial advice on TikTok.
Crazy.
He booked like 40 appointments doing a live video on TikTok of people like, "Hey, I have this much in my 401k that I want to roll over. Can you talk to me?" Just for putting out consistent content and talking. So there's definitely
Did he like do a dance? You know, did he do all that crap?
I don't know. I don't
so.
know. I hope so. But yeah, there's definitely there's new ways to generate leads and content. You know, one way that I used to drum up a lot of business is in Facebook groups, free groups that are in their local area, like 32,000 members or 50,000 members, and I would post just good information, and then every once in a while I would post, if anybody has any questions about insurance, reach out to me. Well, because you're engaging and people start to follow you on that specific group, you're a voice of reason, and then people would reach out to you. I'd made one post and I got like 50 people that reached out to me. So there's just different ways of doing business, but don't stop buying leads. We're not saying that. Please buy leads.
Buy leads. There are no excuses for not buying leads, but there's other things that you can do. And sometimes like so like mail in Pennsylvania is all kinds of screwy right now. And a little bit all over the country. Apparently it is worse in Pennsylvania. The mail house just told me that I have to give an additional 3 weeks on top of the 3 weeks that I could normally expect for returns to come in right now. So I'm looking at stuff that gets.
I've heard this too. What's going on?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't know what the problem is, but I know that like my sister-in-law, who lives 1 county away in the same state, mailed us a Christmas card on December 18th, and we got that Christmas card on January 10th.
Yeah, we had two that happened with 2 Christmas cards too. Like it was like weeks after Christmas when we actually got it. Yeah,
crazy stuff.
And these people live like 5 miles away.
Yeah, like she could have walked it to our house faster.
Right.
It's nuts. But so so I was talking to the lead vendor, and he was like, "Okay, it's not a problem. We'll drop some extra for you. That's no big deal." And he was like, "So what state are you in again?" And I was like, "We're in Pennsylvania." He's like, "Oh, no. We got to add 3 weeks to that." So like leads in Pennsylvania are crappy right now. My returns are down to like, I'm getting like maybe 10 a week for the last like 4 weeks. And so like, you want to be able to have alternative avenues of generating business, because just because your lead returns are crappy doesn't mean you don't want to still work, right? And so you can call old leads, which I have been doing, and I've been writing business. And you can start trying, look back on some of our videos, find some of the people who can teach you how to generate your own Facebook leads, or go buy Facebook leads and other filler leads. But if you have some of these multiple avenues of prospect generation, if people in these Facebook groups know what you do, if people in your life know what you do, if your own clients know to give you referrals, you can go back, and if you've got some customers, you can still write business. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to write business kind of no matter what happens in your life. You should be able to keep going if you want to.
We loved before COVID shut everything down. We loved doing seminar marketing. So we would teach agents to go into senior facilities, HUD facilities, even small churches work really well too, and talk burial insurance. You got a captive audience. Most church memberships skews older anyway. Go into a women's group or a widows group, and there's all sorts of business to be had. It really is, and that can supplement well with a direct mail or a Facebook lead campaign.
Yeah.
I one time found a master list of all the HUD houses in South Carolina,
Ooh.
and I emailed all of them at one time and got back an insane amount of response where I couldn't
yeah.
like, I would have said yes to all of them. Like I would have been doing one, like 3 a week for a year. And I was like, I can't do this. But I wish I would have gone back now and I would have had a bigger agency. I'd have been like, here, you get a seminar, you get a seminar, you get a seminar. I think I need to look back into that now, but it's really, really simple. You know, if the seminar stuff is really good, if you just want to tack on one extra thing, like maybe Dave, you'd say like 2 a month, maybe in those kind of HUD houses type things, or maybe
Sure.
a week.
Yeah. I mean, the way we taught it, we would go in, a month before, a couple weeks, and we'd talk to the activity director and say, hey, we're insurance agents. We help seniors that are low income with affordable final expense plans. Can we come in and do a little talk? And then to kind of really seal the deal, you say, I'll bring donuts and drinks. And they're like, oh, and a gift card to raff. Oh, yeah. When can you come? I mean, they're pretty much sold. And the ones who don't book, they just can't, because there's bylaws that say that they can't have private, salespeople and whatever. And then you come in. Yeah, they promote it for you on their own dime. They let it out in that newsletter. You try to get them to drop off little flyers to the doors a day or two before. And then I did a 10, 15-minute pitch. Like, here's the different options for coverage. There's term, guaranteed issue, whole life, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And done in 15 minutes, feed them. You get maybe a hand,
7 or 8. Yeah.
Yeah, you get about half of them that are interested, and you close half. I mean, and it's the same quality business you get with any final expense lead. And it's actually fun because when you're up there on the podium, they just assume you know what you're talking about, unless you're a complete moron. Right. Usually you're not. And they usually are interested. So, and it's a nice change of pace. It's fun. I actually did it.
I love it, dude. I love doing those.
I used to travel out of town to do these. I was doing 6 a week. We were booking them over the phone. I went as far south. I live in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I used to go as far south as Panama City Beach. And then I would go up as far as Louisville, Kentucky. This was back in like 2014 and 15. And it was kind of like go on the road for 3 days, the road show, I guess. And I used to do 2 a day.
Yep.
And it worked okay. Not as good as, a fully scaled up direct mail campaign, but it was fun. It was different, and it's something that agents can do if they don't want to put the money out there.
The way I would get people to respond in those, because I found a lot of times when you do those, Dave, they're there for the donuts, right? They're like falling asleep on you, right? So it's like, and there would always be like the people like, I'm going to do bingo. And I'm like, I'm not doing that, but I'm going to do trivia. But I would do insurance trivia. And I'd start out with like, hey, who's the guy on Wecker text range? Like, oh, Chuck Norris. And I'll pull out my money wallet and I'll give $1 to the person. I'm like, here, you get $1. And then all of them are like, sitting up. And then I get into tougher questions. I'm like, who knows what whole life is? And like, it's good for your whole life. And I'm like, oh my goodness, you're smart. Like, here, you get $1. And then I'll take out the $5. I'm like, who can explain term? And they're like, it's, blah. And eventually they start talking amongst themselves.
Yeah,
and then I go, here's a $20. No one's answered this yet, but if you can get it, I'll give you 20. Can someone explain universal life insurance to me? And they never, right? And then that's when I pull up my board. I go through the whole process and I'm like, if you think that you have this term, or even if you have a whole life, if you have like a loan on it, like, you need to talk to me. I'm going to be here for the next 1 day. I'm here for 1 day. I'm going to have my assistant come around, book a time. If it's not going to sit with me, you're going to get one of my assistants. They're just as good as I am. But if you want me, I'm going to do it for you the next day. And we would book just an insane amount.
That's great.
But it worked. But the money is, and I always do it on like the 27th, 28th, like when money's low, right? Yeah. Right before the 3rd. So you're signing them up for the 3rd for the next week. Right. So you get paid. So it always worked for me.
Cool.
So, nice. But always do direct mail in lieu of that.
Yeah. Right.
Right. Nick's side note. I know we talked last night about Facebook. Did you ever get to change yours? Did you turn that on?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I wonder if it's, I don't know. Let me take a look at my Facebook app. Sorry, I know this is thrilling content right here. But.
Well, I'm just interested because I've been doing. Dave, did you ever dabble in Facebook leads like everybody else did?
You mean like for final expense agents, right?
Yeah.
I never generated it myself. I always paid somebody else to do it. Just the typical per lead arrangement.
Sure.
Do you want my thoughts on them, or you got questions?
Yeah.
Or
Well, have you think it's changed probably since when you first started? This is a couple of years back, right? That you've probably done this, or have you?
the last time I ran Facebook leads was probably a year and a half ago, which I liked them. If I were to rank a direct mail lead as a 10, if you get the right vendor, a 7.5 out of 10 is how I'd rank them. I remember working them a couple years, like several years back before they picked up a lot of steam, and they tended to skew a little more, I don't know, middle class, a little more better off. I don't know if that's the case now, but I noticed
as it used to be.
Do what now?
It's not as much as it used to be.
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's what I noticed as I was back in, the typical final expense, trailers, government housing, like, all these old people are finally getting with the times, and, grandkids installing the Facebook app and all that stuff. So yeah, it definitely started skewing to what I was used to, and what's good, I think, for final expense. But yeah, no, I mean, I've just seen how expensive they've gotten. I mean, I remember when they were much less expensive, at least on a retail basis. Now they're at the point where if an agent can wait a little bit and get direct mail, man, I don't know how you guys feel, but I'd want them to get direct mail. Direct mail is just, it's still
1,000%. I mean, I try to tell people, like, because they started asking for my final expense leads, and I don't actively say I sell final expense leads. I just get people that reach out to me about them, and I'm like, they're $28, and they're like, sounds great, I need them tomorrow. And I'm like, if you just wait like just 2 weeks, like even 3 weeks, you can get a batch of direct mail. They're like, yeah, but I need them now. So we live in this hot pocket society where things need to happen now.
Right.
The now thing needs to happen if you're in Nick's case, where your direct mail's not coming back,
right,
and you need things,
yeah,
right? Not when you're starting out and you're like, because lack of preparation is not constituted as an emergency on my part. Because you did not drop mail 3 weeks ago does not need to mean I need to get my ass in gear and start generating you a Facebook lead on a Saturday at 7 because you want to run leads on Monday. Sorry, I'm not going to do it. But off my soapbox. I'm not.
So you sell leads. God bless you. I'll light a candle for you at night.
No, 6 months ago before AEP, someone said, hey Matt, can you make a lead like this? And I was like, sure, I know how to make leads. And then I became this guy that was just making like thousands of leads a week. Like we made like 40,000 leads in AEP.
Wow.
For Medicare.
Oh yeah. Gotcha. Right.
Which was awesome. And as a company, we did about 10,000 Medicare Advantage policies. So we closed at like 20 or 25%, which I'm really happy with. But that maybe it's not all my Facebook leads. We dropped a crap ton of mail too, but we were happy with other results, but those leads definitely carried us through. And now I have people ordering. I think I've got like 45 ads running currently. And I don't want to be the lead guy. I was like, I don't want to be the lead guy, but I have to, I got to dig where I need to dig to make.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Right.
So. Well, and you've got a skill set that a lot of people don't have. And so people start going to you for that.
Correct.
So yeah, I looked so Facebook, like, it's frustrating. It sucks. Facebook ads are not what they were even 6 months ago. I just checked my ad that I set up last night. It's still in review. Which, I know I ran a lot of Facebook ads during the deepest part of the quarantine when I was mostly working telesales. Because I was legally prevented from going out and seeing people. And it wasn't that bad. I was generating Facebook leads myself for between $650 and $1,250 a lead, pretty decently qualified lead. And I could put up an ad and it would be approved within an hour or two. And we're going on like 12 hours and it's still in review.
Are your costs similar to where they were, or are they gotten higher?
No, it's significantly more expensive.
What do you think's going on, like with the quality and the pricing?
I think because so many people switched from face-to-face sales to some form of virtual sales, that people are going to Facebook leads in droves.
So you think it's just a bit demand has increased?
I think demand is just skyrocketed.
It is the demand, and it's a lot of marketers trying to burn the lead vendors, saying, stop paying so much for leads, create your own, and selling a course and making their money, which is fine. I'm totally okay with that.
Yeah.
Justin Thomas, who's actually a friend of the show, does that, and his course is great. We use it. Nick has used it.
Yeah.
But it's all of them.
It works amazingly well.
All of them saying, stop doing that and make your own leads, and everybody's fighting over the same territory. It's only going to come down to who's spending the most money on Facebook.
Yeah.
So what best practices are there for agents now that are doing Facebook, would you say, like, to give them an edge?
To give them an edge is really work on your ad copy. Think about what the consumer goes through, and really, really deep dive on your pictures, making sure it's different. Like Nick's picture is totally different. I don't know if it would necessarily stop a client. I would say maybe, Nick, work on your picture, but like we do a custom picture for each ad.
Mm-hmm.
Like we will take the state, right, of like Texas, we'll highlight each county that we're, targeting, highlight it green, so it shows like just these counties. Like, and we're like, if you're in these counties, you could qualify for blah 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 blah.
Right.
That works a whole lot better than just a picture of a casket, because Miss Jones has seen that. Facebook stops looking at stock photos and stop pushing those, and they're looking for custom. Really? Again, kind of the YouTube, the people that are taking the time, that value their craft. Right. Does that make sense?
Sure.
And it is, again, doing the things that other people won't do. It's, as far as I can tell, if you're using stock photos at all at this point, you're already sunk. Mm-hmm. You need to be using something that's not going to have been seen before. I know one of the things that several of the courses are saying are, abandon photos entirely and go to video, because the Facebook algorithm favors video. Mm-hmm. But again, agents often don't want to get in front of a camera, and you can't, and a video of just like a photo sliding back and forth doesn't do it.
Nick, I'm telling you, if you would get in front of a camera, and you're used to, but when we first started YouTube, you hated the camera, but now you're like super comfortable, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
If you just get in front of a camera and just give a highlight of what final expense is and how you as Nick can help. When
absolutely.
You make a lead, even if it costs you $17 a lead, when you call and you go, hey, you remember watching the video about the guy that was talking about final expense insurance? Like, yeah, I'm the guy.
Yep.
You will book every appointment and you will sell everyone, because you've already sold yourself, just like he's talking about. You've already sold. Yeah. You're just qualifying at that point.
I was going to say, one of our viewers does exactly that and is killing it with his Facebook leads. And he's talked to me about what he's doing.
Yep.
I'll just kind of compliment that. I have some, you all talked about earlier on YouTube. I have content that's consumer facing for prospects, mm-hmm. like educational videos on Colonial Penn, what's the fine print read, AARP, blah, 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 right? And the leads that I get from those, they're not a lot. It's organic. I'm not paying for it, right? So it just shows up in search when somebody stumbles across it. But when people respond to it, it's some of the best leads that I'll ever work. They're already sold on me, right? It's just like, think about you guys. Y'all know when you recruit an agent, they see your stream of content, they're very sold on you. It's the same idea. It's the same psychology at play with any kind of product, right? Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of value in doing that. And that's the way you differentiate yourself. I mean, if I were on Facebook and doing this kind of stuff, I mean, that makes perfect sense. It comes that it's not the company that sells insurance. It's you. Right. It's always you. It's the agent. So why not sell yourself at the point of, finding out about it, right? Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's the exact same philosophy. With anything, sales is all about they're buying you.
Right.
So.
And I wouldn't, Nick, if you decide to do it, don't just take a picture of yourself and say my name is Nick Frumpkin and this is what I do. Take a video and just communicate, and they will already be sold.
Absolutely.
I'm telling you, you would be amazed. The lead cost might be a little bit higher, but you'll close like 90%, dude.
Yeah. Well, and if I was going to be going back to a situation where I felt like a Facebook lead was a superior lead long term, or if it looks like my direct mail lead drought is going to last more than another 3 to 4 weeks, That's probably what I am going to do. I know that was the next thing I was going to do if I was going to have to stay doing telesales for any longer than I ended up. Was, you know, I had done a couple of dummy videos. I wasn't particularly happy with them, but I recorded 2 or 3 and was like, I can do better. And then I was told I could go back out and see people, and direct mail works better for even then, direct mail works better. But one of the big weaknesses of direct mail is tough for telesales. You know, it's not impossible, but it is a tougher lead to work if you're doing telesales. So.
Yeah. Speaking of Facebook, Dave Duford is no longer on Facebook. Is that correct?
Well, I unfortunately had to restart my Facebook profile in order to set up my Facebook Business Manager. I'm doing some, you guys should be seeing some corny ads from me selling my books and
nice.
Like the info products I said earlier.
Yeah.
Facebook's kind of like uncharted territory for me. But otherwise, under no other circumstances would I ever want to ever be on Facebook.
Well, you were on Facebook, and actually, you know, when you did comment, you commented. So I study people on Facebook. I pretty much built my business around Facebook.
Yeah.
Right. But the way you would do it is you would comment very seldomly, but it would be very engaging and good points. It wasn't the constant always there.
Yeah.
It was, you were there when you needed to be there, and it was direct, it was to the point, and it had a lot of engagement when you did do it.
So so when I was doing Facebook, this is like a year and a half ago at this point.
Yeah.
When I was doing Facebook, my thought was to take the same concepts I took with YouTube, which is produce, create, distribute world-class content, really good content, and do it on a consistent but not over the top basis.
Correct.
In the way that I feel good about, which was what you saw. And the funny thing, and again, this is where Facebook is just totally a mystery to me.
Mm-hmm.
When I stopped doing Facebook and I said, all right, I'm done with this, I saw no difference. I saw no difference in my web traffic. I saw no difference in my YouTube traffic. Like, my thought was, which I think I'm wrong on, is that it would all kind of cross-pollinate each other. It never did. Like, I didn't lose anything from stopping the Facebook marketing efforts. So maybe people just live on Facebook and don't go anywhere else. I assume that's probably what it is. Or it might just content wasn't engaging. I just wasn't clicking. That might be what it was too. But it took an awful lot of time for the time I did it. And I just didn't see the kind of outcome I was hoping for, you know? So I was like, well, I'm going to get back to doing more YouTube. And since then, I've just really scaled up the organic blog post, you know, Google search content, which has been huge for me the last year. So it's kind of finding your niche, right? I guess is your thing. Like what you do, I couldn't even, I don't know. It's just over my head. You know, I don't understand where I missed the boat on that. Probably comes back to my general disdain for Facebook. So.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was also because you had the flip phone and you would only get on Facebook like once a day or once a week, right?
Yeah, at the time. Yeah. I didn't. See, that's the thing, is I didn't want to be on Facebook, right?
Sure.
Like,
you did it out of disgust and out of need, and it turns out you didn't need it.
Yeah, I mean, I did it because it was for business, right? I didn't want to be on there socially. I'm an introvert, you know. I don't like Facebook. I don't want to hear about your whatever. I don't care.
Right.
You know? So that probably is the crux of the argument. Is it's not me to be constantly, you know, being an attention whore, you know.
Got it.
But but yeah, I guess that's all we got. We got to find our way through life. The platforms and you know, find one or two you're really good at.
Your YouTube has not missed a beat. It's still growing.
I know. Yeah, like that was worked perfect. So
yeah. And it's amazing.
More of what works. That's another piece of advice. Yeah. You find something that works, figure out how to triple down on it, you know?
Yeah. Because it is amazing to me. It like you have so many people who follow you on YouTube and like so many YouTube subscribers, and your videos get so many views, and it almost feels like more people than are actually in the insurance industry seem like they are watching your videos, which is probably not true, but it is. I mean, it's a pretty niche thing for you to have as many people as you have. It's genuinely impressive.
Well, you know, here's kind of what I've noticed. Like my average views per subscriber have gone down.
Okay.
Like I'm not like you guys. If you look at your total views versus your sub count, you probably have a way higher percentage than I do. Like if I get 500 views on a video and I've got 19,000 subs, I'm happy. You know, what is that? Is
Right.
that like 3%? I don't know.
Yeah.
4%. That's like 4% of my audience saw that. It's kind of lame.
Right.
But I think what has happened is that people subscribe. And I think about this in your own life. I've thought about this too on YouTube. People will subscribe. And then I think people go into the insurance business and then they get all this information and then some of them pull out and they're not as engaged, or maybe they quit the business, but they don't unsubscribe, you know, because I'm not shown, like I have subscriptions that I haven't viewed video content on in a long time, but I'm subscribed, you know? So I think there's kind of a life cycle to a subscriber, you know, where maybe they'll tune in at a critical point, like as they get started or they're frustrated or struggling. But then as they start getting up and running or exit the business, the views just don't come as often, you know? So I think it's kind of interesting. I thought about that. And I think,
and I guess that's kind of the reason maybe we didn't think about this at the time, Nick, but that's kind of why we wanted to base our channel the way we base it. So it's not more, hey, come to this for this. It's just we're always going to be talking about the same thing, which is usually just about random stuff. We don't really know where we're going, but it's engaging content enough that if you're in the final expense business consistently, you're going to enjoy our content, or we hope that you do.
Yeah.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense. Now, you said something about, you know, content for prospecting. Do you have a separate channel for that, or does it cross-pollinate with your same channel?
Yeah. Well, I put some videos on my normal channel just because I thought, well, exposure, right? More subs, and, you know, maybe I'll rank better because it's a more authoritative channel. But then I did that for a few and then pitched it over. I've got what is it called now? Fixed income. I don't know what I named it.
Sure.
And it's got like 500 subscribers. I do occasional videos. I've done like 4 or 5 this year, and I probably won't do any more. So yeah, I mean, and it's the same thing, right? People are just doing due diligence and they stumble across it. The problem with that I've discovered is there's not people that are and this is why life insurance is sold, not bought. People aren't actively looking for burial or life insurance. They come across an inflection point in their life and they know they need it. And most people do Google search to find that content. A very small percentage do YouTube search. But yeah, I wish I could drive more to it. And then the other thing YouTube does too is a Dave Ramsey video or a Dave Ramsey-esque type that's authoritative, that's an authority on financial planning, will outrank my kind of niche content. You know, so if I do something like, what's the difference between whole life and term? You know, they're going to show Dave Ramsey stuff over mine because I'm just some dude, you know, 500 subs, who cares, right?
Right.
So, but then it's funny because it's not like that with all products, you know, like Christopher Westfall is a perfect example. You know, he put up a video, and I don't know exactly what's happened, but there's Plan G versus Plan F, and he's gotten consistent views on that for years and years and years. And he built his huge Medicare supplement business just off of content like that, organic. And for whatever reason, it seems to me that a lot more people went on YouTube for Medicare supplement or Medicare advice than they did final expense. So it's kind of interesting, you know, it's all good. But yeah, I'm glad I did it, but there's a low ceiling of what I think you can yield out of it until you have to buy ads or do other.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the searches on Google, like you can search like rankings. So if you type in final expense insurance, it is like, let's just call it 100,000 searches. But if you search Medicare, it's like 28 million.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So and YouTube and Google are literally the same. So if you Google Medicare, it will show on your YouTube as well eventually, because that's how it works.
I'll since this is relevant, I hope you guys don't mind me throwing this. I don't recommend agents waste time trying to build an organic website anymore. To try to rank for search terms in Google. Here's why. Every major player that has built an agency or an organization or a website that has done everything right. And Anthony Martin's one of them, just a genius. If you guys don't know about Anthony Martin, he's incredible. He's a hard worker. He's a genius. He does everything right. I love him. He's gotten crushed this year on traffic. Other players with lots of money, lots of, ability to create world-class content, crushed like 30, 40, 50% of the traffic of the last year gone. And it's kind of funny because what I seem to take it as, like, there's this whole push against fake news, right? Like we hear this all the time in the media, and it's kind of extended into everything. Like, it's really not so much fake news, but who's an authority? Who can you trust is really what it comes down to. And Google's business model depends on showing content that's trustworthy.
Right.
And they care about that. So these players who have great content, but aren't necessarily as authoritative as a big, money-backed organization like NerdWallet or Investopedia, that, these are, 8-9 figure organizations plus, they get play, they get first page rankings. But Anthony's website or some of these other guys, they'll never get to the first, second, or third ranking for final expense insurance anymore, because they just aren't as authoritative, even though they are very authoritative. And what you have now, if you're a small time player and you try to rank a website against that, you're fighting not only against the Anthonys of the world, but the rest of these, plus the fact that Google doesn't want you to have, you got to have a top ranked authority to even compete. And it takes millions upon millions of dollars to do it. It's basically the small time player is over, so anybody that thinks website building is where it's at, maybe it'll shift back. Sometimes it will, but I just think this push with authority and all the stuff is just,
well, I sat down with
buy direct mail leads.
Buy direct mail leads.
I mean, I talked with somebody recently, and it was like, hey, we want to help you build this website, and we're going to make you guys the #1 search on for this. And I go, cool. How many other people have you told that are paying you? Because we all can't be #1. And they were like, I was like, what do you want me to say? Like, are we #1? Like, what are you guaranteeing #1, or are we paying to be #1 based on what you're going to show us? If we're really #1, the money's worth it. But if you're telling me that I'm #1 and you have 100 clients, we're not all #1. So it's really tough to say you're going to be #1. If someone can answer that for me, please, in the comments.
You'll be #1 ranked for final expense life insurance for dogs that live in Southern California.
Exactly.
Right. That's what it'll come down to. Right? You'll be first for that search term.
Right. Which, how many people are actually searching? So
there's a dog right there.
Yeah. But yeah, that's good. That's really good. But do it basically just buy direct mail leads.
Buy leads.
I guess what I'm getting from this whole thing, what Dave has taught us over this video, and we've talked about it, is do what you're currently doing. Keep doing what you're currently doing that works. But if you want to add something else, also do that. But don't stop what you're doing to do something else. Does it make sense? Like, don't stop buying direct mail. But if you want to learn Facebook leads, buy direct mail, but also do Facebook leads. If you want to try to build a website, buy direct mail, but then try to build a website on the side. Nick, if we want to grow our YouTube channel, we got to continue to do what we're doing, but also do a little bit more.
A little bit more, which is the goal. So far, we've been very good this year.
We have. But the problem that we keep running into, and I don't know if you know this, Dave, but like last time we did a video, we messed up on the time because you're in Tennessee, which I think is central.
The eastern side is eastern, but the rest is central.
Yeah. So, but like we've done it with a couple people. Like we're like, oh yeah, 4 o'clock works, and then 4 o'clock is a totally different time for them. Right. And they're like, hey, I'm waiting on the video, and Nick and I are like brushing our hair and figuring out. So we got to get better at that, and then we're trying to get better at doing 2 videos a week, where we can, like, as soon as we get on with this one, we might take you off. We might record another one, and have it ready for the pipelines, because our time
there's a backlog.
Yeah, there's a backlog.
I sit down every Friday, and I have I'm about 3 weeks in advance. So I do daily content, right? So I film, I'm about 2 or 3 weeks in advance of, the schedule, right? So I sit down every Friday, and it's easier for me because I'm not doing long, content pieces like this most of the time, some interviews, but I'll sit down, I got a topic, I got bullet points, and I film it all right, one after another, and just get it out of the way and try to say a couple of weeks in advance. It's because, things happen and schedules mess up, but that seems to work really well for me. But then again, your format requires a lot of time, right? And that's kind of the catch, right? Time for you guys away from other things, and audience and guests and all that stuff.
Well, yeah, I think our format, we attempted, I don't know if how long you've watched the show or if you've been consistently watching. If you have, thank you. But we, for a very short amount of time, we tried to switch to break up the videos that we do into 3 parts. Okay. So we would do like part 1 of David Duford, part 2 of David Duford, part 3, to break it up into 3 20-minute videos or 3 10-minute videos.
Which YouTube loved.
Our
stuff, those videos all got pushed out like crazy. And our viewers, like, we've never gotten so much mail about, why are you doing this? This is the worst.
They didn't like it, really?
They hated it.
YouTube loved it.
YouTube loved it. Yeah, it was great for the algorithm.
And what we found out is our content, people view it kind of as almost like a podcast where they turn it on.
Yeah.
They put it in their car, they're driving to their appointment, and they're like, oh, I've got an hour drive. I'm going to listen to the insurance panel for an hour. Right. And so it's almost, the video doesn't even matter, as good as Nick looks and as bad as I look and as great as you look, Dave. You look like you've been working out too. Yeah, there you go. See it. It doesn't matter. They seem to be viewing it more as a just listening content. And so
I'd be curious to ask them how many are like just putting the phone down and listening like a podcast. I think, I bet it's more than half of my audience do that,
Yep.
I bet, right?
Let us know in the comments. Let us know.
Are you guys turning this into a podcast like on Apple or
we want to? Nick and I have talked about it for about a year.
Yeah. That is one of those, it just takes just a little bit more time than either one of us has at the moment to get it started. Once it's started, we do have all of the audio files for every video that we've done.
Because Zoom gives you the audio.
And we have it as a separate raw audio file that can just equalize
hire a VA.
Well, yeah,
$5 in the Philippines an hour, man. That's what I do.
That might be the next step, and just sign up and get like a contract with Anchor or somebody and just put the stuff out there.
Yeah. I have a question. When you guys interviewed John Duggar, did he talk nonstop for like 3 hours like he did with me?
That's what JD does.
But the thing is, we all shut up because JD's that good.
Yeah, right.
I was like, he was talking, and I was like, next to that, I was like, I'm not saying anything because JD is like content is gold.
Yeah,
but he did talk a long time. But
that reminded me because you're like, I split up these videos. You guys are saying split the video. I had to split up his conversation because I was like, damn, dude, I'm here 3 hours. I'm like, all right, we're gonna turn this into three podcasts, and people love it, of course. But
it's good stuff. Like, and those are still some of our most watched videos. Is the stuff we did with JD.
And the stuff he does is so simple.
Yeah,
stuff he says is really simple.
He's why I'm in the business. I remember, researching on the insurance forum back in 2010 or 2011, and I take 15 leads a week and go see my people. I set appointments and make 5,000 a week. I'm like, damn, this guy from country can do it. I can do it, man.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, John.
Yeah. Thank you, John. But yeah, I mean, we'll wrap up the video there. I mean, Dave, I really appreciate you jumping on, spending some time with us, giving us some tips, and just being a nerd about final expense like we are. It's always fun. It's always fun to have another person that just loves what we do when it comes to final expense and just talk about it openly and not have to worry about who you're with, who you're working with, anything like that. We all can agree to go buy leads, work the leads, and make the money.
The magic is in convincing the other people watching this just to do it,
Yeah.
It's not that complicated. Just do it.
Yeah. Buy leads, go talk to the people that sent in the leads. You'll be fine. It'll work.
As John says, some lessons can't be taught. So
yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Well, thanks again, Dave, Nick. Always fun to have you.
Absolutely.
And thanks again, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Bye, guys.